All right, we will, still a little loud.
It's a little loud. It's a little loud, Gabe.
All right, we will now call to order the council meeting for the city of Walton for November 12th, 2019. If you all will please stand for the invocation of the pledge. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day with breath in our lungs. Lord, we ask that you give us as elected leaders the strength and the courage to make decisions on behalf of the citizens of Walton. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sharon, if I could please get a roll call.
Barb? Here. John?
Here.
Bobby?
Here.
Rose? Here. Stephanie? Here. Matt?
Here. Okay, thank you. Few quick announcements. November 28th and 29th, the office will be closed for observance of Thanksgiving. December 3rd at 6:30 p.m. will be caucus meeting at Walton City Hall. December 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. will be Christmas on Main. December 10th, we will have a council meeting at 7:30 here at the Walton Senior Center. December 24th and 25th, the office will be closed for Christmas. January 1st, the office will be closed for New Year's Day. And if I could I please get an approval of the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Barb?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
And next, could I please get an approval of the previous minutes for October 8th, regular called council meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Barb?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Rose?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Okay. And doesn't look like we have many citizen comments coming today. So from the Sheriff's
Bobby's
Department, Lieutenant Hall, thank you.
Here, used to being over here.
They've changed it up, so head on over there.
No problem.
You've got the gun. We want to make sure that
It's not loaded, I'm just kidding. Mr. Mayor, council member, good evening. Mr. Wainwright brought up a good point I'll address, just so if you guys were not aware, a lot of our officers are participating in what's called No Shave November. So if you see a lot of us looking a little scraggly, it was a charitable program that we participated in where we raised over $3,000 to give to local charities. Sheriff Elliott was gracious enough to let us do this because this is not a normal part of our regime. So if you happen to see it, I know it's out of the normal, so don't freak out. I promise you, we're still police officers. For the activity of October, these are the numbers that have been given to me by Major Mark. You should have a copy. We'll review them one by one here. We had a total of 4 911 hangups that we responded to, 37 general residential or business alarms, 13 general what we call attempt to locates, 4 animal complaints, 42 actual crashes, and a side note on those, I did some extra research, and 27 of those were in parking lots, which equates to 64% of the crashes in the city limits of Walton. And as usual, I believe it was the Flying J stayed constant. Kroger's actually went down. Burglary reports, we had 2. We performed 17 individual business checks, which are extra patrols. We had the service of 45 civil or criminal papers, 6 criminal mischief calls, 7 domestics, whether it be verbal and or physical, 7 drunk or intoxicated person calls, 4 emotional crisis, 11 juvenile trouble calls, 11 motorist assist, which are disabled vehicles. We had 3 overdoses, But a point to note on those, that 2 of those were actually alcohol related. We had 1 heroin overdose and 2 were alcohol related. 14 general requests for information, 445 spot checks, which are just general extra patrols that we do. Notation on that is I believe 56 of those were to the Walton City Park itself. 26 suspicious activity calls, 6 theft reports, 13 specific traffic complaints we observed. Traffic stops, 143. Vehicle complaints, general vehicle complaints are 23. Vehicle lockouts, 12. 4 wanted persons, 79 citations, and 8 total arrests. There was a significant increase in traffic stops and citations. We did perform a speed blitz off the Walton overpass 2 different times. It was focused on I-75 mainly, but we did have a general presence in that area. So from doing these past presentations, I believe we were normally around 40 to 45 citations a month. The traffic stops, I believe, were below 100, but obviously those numbers were spiked because of that, those blitzes in October. Overall total events were 1,081, which is still down from previous months, which are right around, I think, 1,095, give or take. Mr. Wainwright, you had asked last session about getting comparison numbers. I addressed that with Major Mark, and he says he'll be taking that step for you so you guys can compare, I believe, previous years, previous months. That way you guys can get. But I know from I think this is my 3rd presentation in the last 4 months, and it's been right around 1,095, give or take. So on the whole, activity is down. We can attribute that to obviously weather as well. Things get a little colder, but tends to keep people inside a little bit. So, any questions from council?
Then, what falls under juvenile trouble?
A lot of this is coding that's done by dispatch. It just depends on the specific call that comes in. Generally, it's just going to be call kids that are either, I'm just throwing out general, throwing rocks, causing a disturbance, things of that nature. When it's primarily a group of kids that someone thinks they're up to no good or something like that, they'll code it as a juvenile trouble call. Any other questions? Anyone from public? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Lieutenant Hall. All right,
Good in the neighborhood.
Chief Vest, what you got for us?
Good evening. I gave the mayor and city council all a copy of the breakdown of the runs. This breakdown breaks down the entire fire district as a whole and the different subsections so that you all can look at the various types of calls that we have in different parts of our district. But in summary, during the month of October, the fire department and ambulance responded to 134 separate incidents. And of those 134 incidents, 61 of those was within the Walton city limits. One of those dispatches was an actual structure fire. We was dispatched out for a total of 4 structure fires during the month of October. One wound up being in an industrial complex, and it was the dumpster that was on fire up against the building. The firefighters arrived rather quickly, knocked the fire down. We hooked the dumpster up to the fire truck and basically just drove it out in the middle of the lot. So structure fire instantly became a dumpster fire, and everything kind of calmed down. The one structure fire we did have during the month of October was on Vest Lane. I don't know if you all heard about it. The thing that the fire department would like to remind everyone and ask of everyone is if you see smoke, please do not hesitate to call us. We estimate that this house burned for over an hour before anybody investigated and called us. It was completely engulfed in flames when the first unit arrived. After the incident occurred, there were several people told us, oh, you seen the smoke? We thought it was controlled burn. So, knowing that the burn ban has been lifted,
if anyone is burning, we ask that they do a few things. One, call the fire station. Let us know that you are going to be conducting a controlled burn. Tell us what it is you're planning on burning, the address, where you're at, that type of thing. Two, please make sure that there's responsible adults watching the fire at all times until it's completely burned out. Three, have some source for extinguishment or trying to contain the fire in case it would start to get out of control. Construction companies oftentimes have backhoes, bulldozers, that type of thing. Homeowners, if they got a small pile of brush or something they're burning, you know, we ask if they have a garden hose that will reach the fire and wet the area down around it. And then lastly, make sure that their fire is at least 150 feet away from any structures or wooded areas. Okay? These are just safety precautions. If somebody's going to have a controlled burn and they're uncertain about the location and the safety of it, again, call us. We'll be more than happy to come out and take a look and tell you what needs to be done, if anything, additionally. The city council passed an ordinance regarding fire lanes. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but Kohl's department store on Town Center Drive, they've now got their fire lane clearly marked as requested. I've talked to a representative at Kroger's, and they are working on it. Okay. The original approach that I had was with the store manager at the time, and right after speaking with that store manager, I was advised that he was promoted and the new store manager moved in, and the communication didn't get passed on. So, but they said that, you know, have assured me that they're working on it, so give them a chance to get that done. But I expect that'll happen in the near future. Trick or trunk occurred again as an annual thing at the fire department. Fire department, along with the Boy Scout troop, I believe it's 833, goes in together and does that. It was, from what I understand, a success. We had between 2,000 and 2,500 children come. There was, you know, food there, some contests done. There was a contest about the best trunk that was decorated, different things. Some different things went on up there, and it seemed like everybody had a good time overall. So appreciate all those that attended and took part in that. I'm sure everybody by now has changed their clocks. With that, I would like to remind everyone that if they haven't already done so, they need to change the batteries in their smoke detectors. If anyone is in need of a smoke detector, again, call the fire station. We got some smoke detectors. We will not only give you one, but we will actually come to your home and install it for you. Okay? So, if you know of anyone who needs a smoke detector, again, please have them give us a call. We'll be more than happy to come out and take care of that. The last thing that I have that the fire department wants to remind everybody of, especially with the upcoming holidays, is as everyone starts to put up Christmas decorations inside and outside, again, they can call the fire department and we will be more than happy to come out and take a look at your decorations, see how you get your electric run, and tell you if you need to make any changes to hopefully make that a little safer for the holiday season and prevent the fire. So, anybody have any questions?
So you said Kroger was working on it. What about the rest of the plaza?
Okay, such as?
Like from the China, you know, from China Moon down, is that also going to be?
I've met with each and every one of the business representatives and advised them, because those stores, I understand, are leased. And Kroger owns part of that building, and then apparently there's another company that owns the rest of it. And I've requested that they contact the building owner, and between the business and the building owner, they can work it out as far as who's going to get it installed. I've given them the option of either painting lines and clearly marking it on the lot that it's a fire lane, or they can do as Cole chose to do and just put up signage.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Council?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chief. Okay. Next up, Cardinal Engineering, Matt Bogan.
Cardinal and Black and
Okay, thank you, Mayor. There's a lot on here, but they're all fairly short updates. On the High Street project, Dunrobin Associates is still working on the easement acquisition. The state sent us an updated right-of-way summary that they wanted to see, and nobody seemed to be aware of how to actually fill it out. So we had to, it took us some time to sort that out and figure out how to prepare the form in the right way, but I think everything is squared away. We've got that sent back, and they're working on the title reports. On street projects, Rigler completed the change order number 2, which was the culvert replacement on Peach Street. Looks nice. The new culvert looks good. They did a little bit of resurfacing to improve the intersection there where there's a bit of a dip. And I think that should be about it for everything we've asked them to do this year. Also, Mayor asked me to look into Town Center Drive, more specifically the east side, where the pavement just, repeatedly breaks down. It looks like what's going on is surface failure. I don't think it's a full base failure. I think it's just a combination of the grade and the heavy truck traffic that we get on that side. And whether the last time that was resurfaced, if the base wasn't prepared adequately before the surface was put down, but it's just causing that top layer to shove and rut and just keep breaking down from the traffic it gets. So Roger's been in touch with Paul Michaels, the Michaels Construction, to see about what we can do for long-term repairs out there. I don't know that it's anything as drastic as a full rebuild out there, but maybe we need to just take that surface off and put down a fresh layer with the fiber reinforcement or something to help that stand up a little bit better. It is supposed to be a heavy-duty pavement section per the Boone County subreg, so it should be okay. It should be built to the traffic it gets, but it may just be that the slope is so much that the pavement is shoving down with the traffic on there. For the splash park, Cardinals crew went out to the Walton Community Park and did a follow-up survey to so we can prepare an alternate plan out there. I've got a new site plan put together with a couple splash pad locations, one on the south side of the parking area, the main parking area, and another one up by the basketball courts. So we can kind of look at those options and see which one council wants to move forward with, or if there's something else they want me to look into. We had a progress meeting last Friday for the MS4 program, just to kind of go over the goals that we set for ourselves for the year and see how we were doing on those, and if there was anything we needed to catch up on, any new activities we wanted to add to that. It seems like we're making pretty good progress towards our goals for the year. I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to sneak up on us when it comes time to submit our report next year. And for the time being, it doesn't seem like there's going to be any need that we would need to add any taxes or user fees or anything like that on residents residents and businesses to keep that program going. We talked about a few things, you know, to potentially add in the near future. I've been in touch with the state that they might be able to have some of their staff come out to the schools in the area and do stormwater presentations to satisfy that, the public education component of that. And that would be of any charge to the city. That's something that they do, you know, during the school year all around the district. So, plus it saves you guys the trouble of having to go up, stand before a bunch of school kids and talk about stormwater and pollutants and all that fun stuff. On School Road, you know, where we left things last month was that council was going to reevaluate the school limit or the speed limit out there. And I think the direction we were going with that was we would ask the state to remove the flashing beacons that are out there currently and just leave the mounting brackets behind, so that way we can order our own signs and beacons and put them up where they had been. And then finally, on the road safety improvements that we've been talking about for the last couple months, the state completed their review for the signal request at Dixie and Walton Nicholson, and they did approve the signal request. So they're working on the design. When they're finished, they'll get back with us, and you know, we can work out the scheduling for the installation of it. They did feel that our other request for additional pedestrian signage or pavement markings on Main Street was not necessary. They thought what was out there right now met their standards, and since there wasn't any history of pedestrian-related collisions out there, that there wasn't any need to upgrade that beyond the standard.
Matt, quick question on that. So does the state only specifically consider one road in regards to that? I know that I specifically asked for US 25 there for those blinker signs, but the fact that we have two state roads immediately right here, and we have had a death, a pedestrian death. Is any of that considered by them, or is that mainly the road we request?
It's what you request. Yeah, because of the way the database is for the crash data, they will just pull a segment of data. If we say Main Street around this mile point, they'll pull however much to either side of that, but they'll just focus on that area. If we wanted to look at improvements on Mary Grubbs or even another part of Main Street or Dixie Highway, we could send a separate request for that. But they would look at each one as it comes in.
All right. Well, for now, I'm content with getting a stoplight that we've begged them for how many years now?
I've done 3 myself.
So,
Question on that, Matt. So they're in design phase. Do we get an opportunity to inject any part of that design phase? Do we get to say, hey, here's some thoughts? Because I worry if it doesn't, if they do it, whatever, and they don't take, we live here every day, right? We live in this community every day, and so do they take any feedback?
Yeah. I don't know that there's ever a point where they'll come and say, okay, let's sit down and make sure everybody's okay with this before we install it.
No, I get that.
Once it is in place, they'll come back and they'll monitor it to make sure the timing actually works. Because sometimes, what the timing plan they come up with on paper may not work as well as they expect it does. So, yeah, they'll come back and, if there's, in the first month or two, if things seem like it's not operating as well as it should, they're more than happy to entertain our comments and see what they can do to make adjustments and make it work better.
and Matt, I know you, just your experience working with the state, how long would you anticipate, now that they've made a decision to go into the design phase, how long would you think that we'd be talking about before we actually see a traffic light there? Are we talking 3 months, 6 months, a year?
Probably 3 months or so. It does need to go down to Frankfurt and get approved with it being a new design and the install list and all that. It has to go to somebody at central office traffic, but Yeah, I mean, since they have already reviewed it and determined it's necessary, then things move pretty smoothly. And there aren't really any weird conditions out there at the site that would drag that out. I guess as long as they have right of way on the railroad side, that they can accommodate poles, but that should be fine.
Okay. All right. Council, anybody else? Any questions for Matt?
All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Darren.
All right, moving on, we have Resolution 2019-07. Counselor?
I'll go ahead and read it and then explain it. Read the title anyway. This is 2019-07. It's a resolution, and it's authorizing the issuance of up to $30 million of industrial building revenue bond, Series 2019, 75 Logistics Center at Walton LLC of the City of Walton, Kentucky, the proceeds of which shall be used to pay the cost of the acquisition, construction, installation, and equipping of a building suitable for use and the manufacturing, processing, or assembling of any commercial product to be located within the City of Walton, Kentucky, and leased to 75 Logistics Center at Walton LLC, providing for the pledge of revenues for the payment of such bonds, authorizing a lease agreement appropriate for the protection and disposition of such revenues, and to further secure such bonds, authorizing a bond purchase agreement, lease agreement, payment agreement, and assignments, and authorizing other actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds. You all have a copy of the resolution itself. It was prepared by Mr. Peterman, who's here tonight. This is the next step in the process that we discussed at the last meeting. If you recall, we approved a bond inducement resolution. This is the next step to keep the process going. My understanding is the process needs to be completed by the end of the year. Also in your packet, Sharon sent out the payment in lieu of taxes agreement. If you all recall, this is very similar to the Luke Cloth and other IRBs that the city has done before and participated in. Essentially, the property is going to be deeded to the city, so there would not be taxes that could be levied and collected. So there will be a payment in lieu of taxes agreement so that the city and other taxing agencies will receive funds from the increased value after the construction of this project. So I'm going to leave it at that, and if you all have any specific questions that I can't answer, Roger's going to, and I'm going to tell you he's going to answer the questions. He's the expert. He's our bond counsel to make sure that all of this will not be a burden on the city. It will not be an obligation of the city. This is pursuant to the Kentucky statutes and federal tax laws and so on, so that we can recruit jobs into the city. So with that, up to council.
If you'd like.
I do want to acknowledge the assistance that Mike Duncan's given on this. This has moved pretty quickly. I woke up, and this is literally the case, in the middle of the night and realized, I bet their council meeting's coming up and we gotta get this done by the end of the year. And I called Mike, and he helped, and then you all agreed to put this on the agenda. So I really do appreciate that. I think I mentioned before, I'm on the city council myself, and that being accommodating like that is very helpful, especially pursuing these economic development projects. So SunTrust Bank, which is located in Atlanta, is going to be the purchaser of the bond, so to speak. They're going to be advancing the credit for this. I do have a commitment letter from them in my file, as Mike pointed out. This is not an obligation of the city to repay. Anyway, if you do have a copy in lieu of tax agreement. It does have the percentages that are the same as existed for the Luke Co-op project, except for the city, which is 100%. And I'll point out this, Mike and I were talking about this earlier today. For the, this property is not on the tax rolls. And so for the school district, it doesn't count against them, so to speak, in the SEEK formula, which is fairly complicated, but the higher your property values, the lower the money you get from the state. In this case, this isn't on the tax roll, so it's not going to lower the money they get from the state. At the same time, they're going to get payments under this agreement, as if they, the same as taxes, a lower percentage. But pointing that out as a direct benefit to the school district. So, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer that. But assuming you approve it, I did want to point that out. So, with those couple of additional comments, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And as Mike pointed out, this is going to be completed probably by mid-December.
Question from council?
Somebody got anything?
Okay. No
Matt,
question?
got anything?
I would need, Matt, no?
No.
Okay, well, need a motion to proceed.
I'll motion.
Second.
Barb?
No.
John?
Yes.
Bobby?
Yes.
Rose?
No.
Stephanie?
No.
Matt?
No. Okay.
If you don't mind my asking, is there some adjustment or something that we could do to this that would, be something that you would like to see to move this forward?
I think the concern was, and again, I voted yes for it, so I'm going to speak just from conversation, was in regards to the school. My concern was city, right? Obviously, I represent the cities of Walton, and residents of Walton. We got, we didn't change our tax rate, but I think the concern was if the school doesn't get 100%, or if we wait, right? We don't do IRBs, right? Because the building's getting built anyway, right? At the end of the day, and so they would get 100% if we wait, and so that extra money may down the road prevent a tax increase for money that they may need from the citizens of Walton. Instead of raising taxes, they might have an extra $150,000 from the 50% they would lose from this. That would inhibit them from probably having to raise taxes. So I think that was the main sticking point, if I summed it up from some folks. And so that was the main concern. I know we didn't, in our discussion, that wasn't something we had talked about prior, but if we had, I probably would have negotiated different rates. But I didn't think about it coming that way, right? And so I know the SEEK money, if it's not IRB, then it will be $30 million added to total property revenue, which determines the SEEK money. I think it's like $4,600 a kid right now for Walton. And so it might lower it some per kid, 30 million on, I don't know what they have, 480 million or whatever total. So it might run lower a little bit, but probably not 150,000 a year. I think that was the main concern.
That was the estimated property tax. I mean, would it make sense to discuss that with the school district at all, or do you think that that's just something that there's no movement?
There'd be no movement from them. The only movement that we have in IRBs is that this is our only opportunity to negotiate their rate. And I know in some conversations we've had is that, hey, it doesn't include students, right? They're okay getting a free check.
Right.
However, I think someone on this council is concerned that if hey, there wasn't a clear plan. It's not like, hey, if we do this, we're gonna get X jobs, this company, this type of wages, this many employees, right? It's more of a, who knows, right? And so I think that was part of it as well, is that, with Luke Cloth, they kind of had a plan, right? This was who it was, this is what we know they're gonna build, this is what the RVs look like. This is more of a gamble, right? It's a gamble not so much with city money, because we're getting 100%, but it's a gamble with $150,000 that goes to our schools inside of our community, that eventually the school can come back and say, hey, we need money. May not be because of that, maybe because of something else. And then where we gave it, we punted an opportunity to give them $150,000 without them having to raise rates. I think does that sum it up?
Very well said, yeah.
Okay.
If they had a tenant, were able to provide more information on that, would that make a difference?
I think for some people on the council it would. 'Cause some, I think it's a couple different ways. Some are is, hey, what's the jobs look like? And some are, hey, it's a school. So I think it's a couple different positions from the nays
Right.
on that. So I think any information that you could give, and, obviously, we have caucus coming around the corner. Something like this could always be on a special. But yeah, any information you can get to them, because right now we are kind of shooting in the wind, right? We really don't know. It's a gamble, right?
No, I mean, and of course, I don't represent the company.
Absolutely.
So I can't speak for them. But their concern is being able to recruit businesses here because these incentives have been provided in other locations, particularly the one they mentioned was Erlanger, and so, it affects rents and attracting businesses and jobs to this.
Inside of their discussion, was there any particular one of the 7 rates that they felt like they, was it the total package, right? Because our rate at 100% versus 50% is $15,000 a year on a $30 million building. It's
City
nothing,
rates are low.
right? And so is another rate that determined, that they were worried about in regards, or you think that if we had a discussion, so say if we met in the middle on school and we knew who we were, right? Maybe it was 75 and we knew who was coming. Is that something? Yeah.
I mean, if there is any possibility of discussing that, I can ask them.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I mean, I know this was done in quite a hurry. There was Doug Armbruster, who had been here, was out of town, so he was unable to attend. Maybe he could have addressed that a little bit better. So we'll follow up.
Yeah, I think if you can turn information around, the faster the better, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a caucus, so, but yeah, I know definitely for sure we'd like, if they have an idea of who they're trying to lure and who they think they can get in that space, I think that'd be a main starting point. And we may be able to hash out the other concerns with percentages here or there, right?
Right. No, I mean, and that's the risk that you take in trying to go through something, because you really haven't had time to, address all these issues, and you don't even know what might come up. And so things have come up, we're aware, and obviously didn't address them to your satisfaction. So that's what I'll report back to the company.
Okay.
And, I'll just have to get information.
Yeah, I mean, just funnel it through Sharon, and she can funnel it to us, and we can see if that's something we need to add to the agenda if we get information. If not, not.
Okay, that's what I'll do.
We have a caucus the first Tuesday of the month.
You ever hold a special meeting at your caucus?
We have in the past, so yeah, I mean, again, if it's something that, if we get information, the faster the better, and we can discuss it, right, and answer some questions in regards to that. I think there, could come up again on maybe a special, but again, that would just be based on the information we were able to get prior to them. We just want to make the right call. So, I think we made the right call in getting 100% for Walton, but it's just something that I didn't even think about, and I'm glad my fellow council members, brought it up, because it wasn't something I had thought about. Right? Is that the long-term play of the way the school has handled their rates, and so I'm glad they did, right? Because in my initial mind, I did my charge of protecting residents here, but I didn't see the back door on that one. So I think it was a valid point, and I think there's some discussion we still need to have.
Yeah, no, I mean, I live in an area, in an independent school district, and, those rates tend to be a lot higher than county rates. And in that case, the numbers worked out as far as the seat formula and all that. So we'll develop that information, get some more information on, what the competition is, and
Okay.
we'll report back.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We will move forward with the first reading of ordinance 2019-10.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This ordinance is an ordinance of the City of Walton, Kentucky, amending Section 71.05 of the Walton Code of Ordinances by establishing a consistent speed limit on the roadway from Mary Grubbs Highway to North Main Street, including School Road and parts of Old Stevenson Mill Road and Old Beaver Road. And then if you look at the underlined text at the bottom of page 1, you'll see that the proposal here is to have a consistent 30 mile an hour speed limit all the way through. State law would allow that to be lowered during school time in the school zone, though, so we don't need that in this ordinance. This is the same ordinance that we discussed last month. There was a follow-up done, and I understand that you all are ready to go forward with this ordinance. And as is your habit, you typically vote on first reading, so it would be appropriate for you to discuss and vote on that now if you'd like.
Motion.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Next would be the first reading of ordinance 2019-11.
Okay, Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance of the City of Walton, Kentucky, amending Section 32.21 of the Walton Code of Ordinances in order to change the starting time for city council meetings and to establish the meeting time for community events planning meetings. You'll see there in the middle of page 1 that the meeting start time for city council meetings currently is 7:30. That would be changed to 7. I corrected a misspelling there in that same section, paragraph A. Then proposed to be added is section C, which would provide for the meeting times for the community planning events meeting, which you have informally currently at 6:15. So this would formalize the meeting time for that meeting. So again, if you want to go forward with this, it would be appropriate to have a motion to go ahead.
Make a motion.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I had.
Okay. Moving on to council comments. Barb?
I think yesterday the veterans, or on Monday, the veterans ceremony was just wonderful. The city did a great job, family restaurant, the food was delicious again. It was just a great presentation, and I think everybody enjoyed it. The weather was great, the sun even came out and shined, it didn't rain, it was like 60 degrees, so yes, it was good. Thank you to the city.
John?
Yeah, I'll make some comments to Bobby's kids. Welcome. How are you? We have our 7 viewers on YouTube below. With 7 views last month, we are moving up. 7.
Yeah, but I viewed it 4 times.
So, just to tag along, Barb, Gabe, good job yesterday. I think the people in attendance were having Congressman Massey was nice, and it was good to see him in our community, and then Savannah Maddox as well. And I thought all that was great. So thank you, and then just wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Good job on Veterans Day. I like seeing Thomas Massey here. That was good. But happy Turkey Day. Thank you.
Thanks to everybody who was involved with the Veterans Day ceremony and putting it together. Obviously, thanks to Savannah Maddox and Thomas Massey for coming out. The weather was great. It didn't last for long, and we've had plenty of Veterans Days around here where it was absolutely almost unbearable, especially for when a major group of our participants are all elderly. So I was glad that it was indeed warm. Other than that, hope everyone has a safe Thanksgiving. And could I please get a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Second.
Barb,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Bobby,
Yep.
Rose,
Yes.
Stephanie,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.